Good evening, everyone. It's 7 p.m. Today is Tuesday, October 14th already. So we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order, and we'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Dr. Finch, any changes to the agenda?
Yes, we're actually going to remove 8D, the resolution. We'll remove that and we'll bring it to the board at the next board meeting. We had some additional information about the impact of the lowering of the tax rate by the defeasance of the $7.5 million, lowering the tax rate for taxpayers. So we're going to do some additional work and make sure that that is appropriate as we bring it forward to have the lower tax rate.
All right, thank you, Dr. Finch. Also, moving on to item 5, communications, response to public comment.
That's included as a placeholder.
Okay. And item 5B, staff retirement recognition.
Is Tina White here this evening? Is Tina here? Okay. Well, we wanted to recognize Tina White. She's retiring from the West Valley School District. 6 years of service as a para-educator at West Valley High School. So we can give her a positive clap.
All right, thank you. We'll move on to item 6 on the agenda, school presentation. Tonight we have Summitview Elementary and Principal Eva Luss.
Yes, very good. We'll go ahead and have the board join the audience so we can see the overhead and have the presentation by our students. I see student leadership here this evening.
Before I let the student leadership start off, I just want to give a huge thank you to the school board for supporting having a behavior specialist in every building. I cannot tell you how much, and I love that you showed to my baby Jennings, how much we appreciate her here. It's not easy being a kid, and while some kids do school, they do school. Other kids, they come in and they need big support. And by having her here every day, I know that when we're having conversations of, hey, we maybe need to get an FBA or a BIP, or we need that, she's not going to be like, yeah, I'll try to be there on Tuesday. And then she says, sorry, I'm being called out. And while we have had amazing behavior people in the district for many years, they're spread so thin. And we are seeing the results here at Summitview, and I have 2 statements I just was talking about. A couple, one of these kids has come back from the behavior program at Tandem, and another just tough. I could probably talk to everybody at Summitview that could have given me a statement, but a huge thank you, Megan Jennings, for being the driving force behind our behavior interventions at Summitview. Her presence in the building daily has made such a difference, not just for the students that she supports, but for the skills and support she has given to the entire staff. She's really coaching us, and that has been great too. She helps to ensure that the classroom is a safe learning environment for all students, allowing teachers to focus on instruction. She shows up every day with patience, care, and an incredible ability to connect with kids, even in tough moments. Whether she is helping de-escalate a situation, reaching out to parents, collecting critical data that drives the program, giving a student a safe space to reset, or just offering a calm, steady presence, she does it all with heart and purpose. Her support has meant the world to me this year. She steps in without hesitation, offering patience, perspective, and hands-on help that's made a huge difference. And then this is from another teacher. Summitview Elementary is so fortunate to have Megan Jennings as our behavior specialist. Megan is extremely knowledgeable about students with intense behavior needs while being very calm and kind. Megan has very high expectations for behavior, implementing check-in, check-out along with review program, and providing the much-needed scaffolds for our students. This also provides consistency and ensures that expectations and supports are clear across the school. Students are included in their general education classroom, but provided support when needed. Along with other SEL practices in our school, we are creating an environment for all students to find success every day. Thank you. So then with that, this is my 12th year as principal at Summerview Elementary. And I have wanted to get a leadership program started for so long, and for just this reason, that reason, whatever it was, it just never came to fruition until last year. And maybe it's because we had these 4 women, plus, Katie Curie and Faye Sullivan, former leadership figures through the West Valley School District. A piece of that passion, along with Kim Beacon and Susan Olin, who are just passionate about kids. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to these guys about, before, leadership t-shirts, logo created by West Valley High School, graphic design, and printed by West Valley High School students, and maybe have an
As typically goes in big high-stress moments, technology is doing its thing. So leadership kids are going to come up here so you can see their beautiful faces. They will not be pictured on the screen. That is not doing its thing.
What was my test?
So that's okay. The slides are in the minutes, so if you want to see some beautiful pictures and some bullet points of what we're going to say today, you can go look at those there. But these are our lovely kids, and they're going to tell you a little bit about what we do at Summit View as a leadership group.
Do you want the microphone?
You guys think your voices could be
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So we would like to start. You would go? Okay, go first.
What I like about Summit View Leadership is that we get to bond with the teachers a little bit more, and the fact that we get to have the whole experience of Summit View.
Go for it, Delilah.
One thing that I like about being a Summit View Eagle leader is probably helping a lot with the teachers, because we get to do a lot of fun stuff and just help around with the school.
I like to be Summit View on leadership because I like to help out around the school, and yeah.
Go ahead, Andrew.
Hello, my name is Andrew Decio, and I'm a part of Summit View English leadership. My opinion, it's the best thing to be in. I want to become part of the leadership because I think it would be very cool to be able to say that I'm part of the team that's hard to get into. Also, the things that we get to do in leadership is, in my opinion, super fun to do. Like being able to hold the recess roars after recess ends, or being able to hand out awards during the awards assembly, or being able to do morning announcements. Lastly, I think leadership is so fun to be a part of.
One thing I love about leadership is helping other kids by holding doors and handing out awards.
So some things that our leadership kids do, they hold the doors after recess for all 3 sets of doors when we have 500 kids coming in. It's a big help to get kids in efficiently and effectively, and they've done a really good job of not only holding those doors, but helping grade levels come in calmly and get ready back for class. They pass out awards during our award ceremonies so that Miss Luss can be focused on getting those next kids and getting through those awards so we can get everybody celebrated. And
Also on Friday. Oh, yes. So they worked last year. We worked with child nutrition on the food menu. When they were incorporating some of the different menu options, they were able to have an example for the child nutrition team. We had the leadership kids taste the food. Also on Fridays, the majority of them and other classmates go to junior classrooms and first grade classrooms to do like an art project or any kind of activity, and reading with the kids, the kinders as well. So it's kind of just like, it starts with the leadership kids as beginning to like do the helping out, showing leadership, but then it kind of ties into the rest of the 5th graders, where they're able to go to the other littles and like the class, the kinder, first grade classrooms, just to kind of show them what it is to be a Summit View Eagle.
And one of the biggest things that they do is our expectation walks. So at the beginning of the year and then throughout the year when we have those long breaks and need reminders of what it looks like to be a kid in school, we walk around to specific places in our school to remember what does it look like to come in from recess? What does it look like to walk on the stairs? There are all of them that we take them one by one, not 4 by however many you want to go by. So our leadership kids get the opportunity to present what they know in front of their peers from kindergarten to 5th grade. And you've seen them speak here today. You can tell that they've been practicing and that they've had that opportunity to share in front of their peers, which is awesome. I think that's about it.
I just wanted to ask, since you guys are our second group, when you saw the first group of leadership kids, what went through your mind? Delilah.
I thought that was really cool and that they were great leaders and it just made me want to be one.
I thought, the first thing that came to my head is like, cool, I want to be one of those things. And I looked up to them all year, crossing my fingers that I'd be one of them.
I thought that it was really cool because they got to hold the doors and give out awards, and I wanted to be on leadership.
I thought it was really interesting that I get to learn a bit more on like how to hold doors, handing out awards, and also I found it easier to go into it because I've already been helping my mom and some other teachers with like stuff like getting stuff from the printer, stuff like that.
Okay, Andrew.
I think that in seeing the last year's leadership made me think that they were great leaders and helped a lot to the rest of the school, and I think that made me more think about leadership
And last year we connected their leadership skills that they're learning here to the real world. We took a field trip to Cheers and they told us all about how important leadership is within their business model and then got to test their product.
Do you guys have any questions for our awesome kiddos?
So just 5th graders, right?
Mm-hmm.
And is it a selection process, application process? How did you all get to be selected to be up in front?
I think it's like for the kids that were showing respect, making good decisions, and solving problems.
Well, congratulations then for being selected.
Jacob, go ahead.
I think it's also kind of your teacher thought you have lots of leadership skills that would help you be better at leadership.
I think it was also just showing equal standards and being kind and respectful all the time. I think that our 4th grade teachers picked kids that they thought that were doing really good in class, helping out a lot and being good.
I think they picked kids who were slightly more experienced with leadership, so like through 3rd and 4th grade they might have been leaders in group projects.
Well, you're all very articulate to speak in front of a group of adults mainly, so congratulations to all of you.
We do have 15 kids, so this is a small sample of our kids, and they are chosen with our 4th grade teachers' help since I don't get to meet many of them until their final year here.
I have a little bit.
Yes.
That's really nice, you have 15 students.
awesome.
that are in
Yeah.
leadership.
And we actually are kind of in a process right now. We have some new 5th graders in that are brand new to us who have they been here K4 or even just even 4th grade might have been an excellent candidate. And so we're kind of in the process. Hey, we can probably add a few more kids, right? So, and it does, really tie into that whole culture of safety and belonging.
The other thing we do is on the late start days, they come and eat lunch with us. And then that's kind of when we do the business and what things they want to do and what they're interested in. And so that's like our meeting.
So students from Summit View Leadership, we have 2 students from our high school leadership that are members of the school board. So Gracie is here as a student leader from the high school. Maybe you want to share up at the high school, that's something they could look forward to. Not Gracie, sorry, Georgia. She looks just like my niece, whose name is Grace. Georgia from the high school. Maybe share about the high school leadership.
Yeah, at our high school, it's a class that we take during the day. For me, it's my 6th period, and we do all sorts of stuff, and it is so much fun. We don't do a lot of door holding, but we do sometimes. Yeah, there's a lot more kids up there. We just made some arts and crafts for teacher appreciation. Because we just had homecoming, we helped plan dances and we helped plan fun activities like volleyball games after school. And every football game we help organize spirit days, all sorts of stuff. And so I encourage you guys to keep doing leadership in middle school because the teacher is great and I had her and I loved her.
So Georgia, thank you for sharing. And students, that's something you can look forward to as you go to the middle school and the high school. There's always a need for student leadership.
So I have a question. Just, you start talking about it. What is the transition process? I mean, is this a one-year program? And then what happens at the end of the year if you want to continue the next year? How does that work?
Currently, we're a 1-year program. We'd have to connect with the middle school a little bit more to make that happen, but they do have leadership opportunities for 7th and 8th graders at the middle level.
And we have advisory reps for 6th grade, so she needs to be a person. We have definitely opportunities.
It does, the kids, like how they were explaining, they start seeing it. It's actually with the first year when they saw the 5th graders, so they kind of start looking back to it. So like 4th graders, they kind of start getting ready for that. Like Andrew, for example, he started helping a little bit last year with the yearbook stuff. And so it's just kind of cool how they started to kind of see things and just follow the others.
And just share again for our students here, that is Tiffany Williams, who teaches leadership at our middle school. So you'll have opportunity at the middle school to be a leader and at the high school, as you heard.
I look forward to seeing all your faces.
Yeah, that's great.
All right.
Good job, you guys.
All right.
Can I let these guys leave?
All right. Well done, Eva. Sorry, Georgia.
No, it's okay.
Oh, my goodness.
You caught yourself, it's okay. Good catch.
All right, we'll give them a minute to exit here. Thank you. All right, next on the agenda, item 6 after the school presentation is public comment. And again, I will read the disclaimer here. Members of the public who would like to provide public comment will sign in. Speakers will be called in the order that they signed in to speak. Speakers will be given 3 minutes for their comments. Public comment is not the proper forum to address concerns about a specific staff member. If a person has a concern about a specific staff member, they should make an appointment with the superintendent to address their concerns. So with that, we'll go ahead and first we have Ms. Mokel. Heidi, are you there?
Yep. Do we have a microphone or no?
I think we just
The what?
we just took the microwave.
No, there's, the microphones on the cameras.
Yeah.
Just a- yeah.
Okay, so I just wanted to make sure we got audio. All right, thanks. Good evening, members of the board. My name is Heidi Mokel. I wear many hats in the district, but tonight, most importantly, as a parent. I'm also a staff member, a taxpayer, a voter, and a committed member of this community. I'm here to express deep concern about the revision to the procedure that happened last spring regarding policy 2020, which addresses the Instructional Materials Committee, which states that parent and community member positions on the Instructional Materials Committee may no longer be filled by a staff member who is also a parent. Let's call this what it is, discriminatory and exclusionary. I reviewed the recorded board meetings from last year, and at no point did I see a discussion regarding this happen in public. So that leads me to believe it was a secret discussion. By enforcing this policy, you are sending a message that district employees who are also parents are somehow less valid in their roles as stakeholders. But my employment does not cancel out my identity as a parent, nor my rights as a private citizen, nor my responsibilities as a taxpayer in this district. This policy effectively tells staff parents, you work here, you can trust us with your children, but you may not fully participate in decision-making as parents because of where you collect your paycheck. Mr. Heed, Mr. Wolcott, and Mr. Kephart, during your campaigns, you emphasize that parents are the primary stakeholders. But now that you're seated, it seems that only some parents qualify, specifically those who aren't employees. That's a contradiction I hope you'll recognize. The district speaks often of equity, inclusion, and honoring stakeholder voice. This policy runs counter to all three. It silences and sidelines a group of highly informed, deeply invested parents simply because they serve the district professionally. I urge you to reconsider this policy revision. Don't force parents to choose between serving their children and serving their schools. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your comment. Next, we have Brad, is it Heinzer?
Hanson.
Hanson, I'm
Hanson.
sorry. Are you Mr. Hanson?
Yeah.
All right.
Do I need to come up there? Or?
It would be helpful, thank
Okay,
you.
Perfect. First time caller, long time listener. Good afternoon, school board. My name is Brad Hanson. Both my kids attend West Valley Middle School and West Valley High School, and I'm here today to talk about the bond issuance, in particular the absence of an upgrade to the middle school auditorium and that bond issuance. Currently there's approximately 1,200 students at the middle school, 6th, 7th, and 8th. Of that, about 500 are in band and choir. Simply put, you have a 40-year-old auditorium, and I am of the understanding that that auditorium is not meant to be refurbished or, I guess, completely renovated with the potential bond issuance that's going on to upgrade the middle school. The square footage of that auditorium doesn't allow for the band to fit, it doesn't allow for the choir to fit, and it limits the size and kinds of productions that they're able to do for theater. Watching my kids grow up as a trombonist and a saxophonist, we find ourselves on the elementary school or the middle school gym floor for 6th grade and end up trekking ourselves up to the high school for 7th and 8th. My understanding is that there's a discussion about maybe upgrading the auditorium or looking at the plans of this after the bond is passed. I don't know how I think about that. I will say that if there is a discussion and that doesn't fit in, we all know things down the road generally don't cost less than they do today. So with inflation and other things, I would just say that including the auditorium upgrade now is a financially prudent move if the district is invested in the arts and a space for middle schoolers to perform both safely and successfully. So I hope you guys will consider that. I really appreciate all you do. Thanks for listening to me.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments, Mr. Hanson. And I think that's it. I don't see anyone else on the list, so I will open it up to anyone in the audience who would like to make a public comment at this point. All right, if not, public comment is closed. We will go on to item 8 on the agenda, action items. We can start with the approval of minutes. Is this a consent agenda or?
No.
These are just individual?
Yeah, take A, B, C, et cetera. Take them separately.
Take them separately, all right. So first we have the approval of minutes from the September 23rd, 25 board meeting. And then we also have minutes from the October 1st community forum. So if there's no discussion on any of these items, we'll entertain a motion to approve these items.
So moved.
All right, we have a motion to approve both the approval of minutes for the September 23rd and October 1st board meeting and community forum. We'll go ahead and vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Next, we have approval of travel requests. And there are 2 items there. I will open it up if anyone has any comment or any concern that they wish to raise at this point. Otherwise, again, I will entertain a motion to approve those two items.
I'll make a motion to approve those two items.
All right, thank you, Mr. Caphart. So we have approval of travel request for Haley Moon and for Dr. Finch. We'll go ahead and take a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Next, we have approval of Jumpstart credit. There is, I think, an item in the packet there. If anyone, again, has any question on that. Is there anything new in this particular action item, Dr. Finch?
Well, it was included in the cover memo, but there was a review of the classes done last spring. As a result of that review, we have taken the art classes off of the list. And so this is an updated list for the school year. The recommendation by the administration is to approve the Jump Start credits as presented.
All right, thank you. There are no particular questions on this. I'll entertain a motion to approve the Jump Start credit.
I'll make a motion to approve the Jump Start credit.
Thank you, Mr. Heed. We have a motion to approve the Jump Start credit. We'll go ahead and take a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. We are, I guess, striking item D for this meeting.
Correct. We'll remove 8D.
Okay. So we'll move on to 8E, approval of OSSI school improvement plans for the middle school and the virtual academy. So again, if there are questions or comments anyone would like to make, it's time to make them. Otherwise, we'll entertain a motion to approve those two items, the West Valley Mid-Level Campus and West Valley Virtual Academy on school improvement plans.
I'm so moved.
Thank you, Mr. Corner. We'll go ahead and take a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Moving on. All right, next we have discussion, item 9 on the bond proposal, capital projects. There's a PDF in your package. Would anyone like to start the discussion here? Or Dr. Fish, do you have anything you would like to say?
Well, we had the community forum, and so this is our first board meeting after the forum. I wanted to give the board time to have a discussion and kind of process what we heard at the forum. So opportunity to do that here under item A, bond proposal. After that, we would have time for discussion about the levy proposal as well. At the forum, all the comments were about the bond. There were no comments about the levy at that time, but we do need to eventually make a decision coming soon. No need for a decision tonight, but probably at our next meeting, it'd be nice to get direction from the board so that we can begin working on what the language will be that's presented to voters, because that language needs to be approved at a future board meeting as well. So we're kind of in the development process, but wanted to give the board time to discuss the community forum and what you heard there.
Dr. Finch, what would be the ideal time if you were to put like a time frame of the steps? So next board meeting, ideally to approve levy and bond resolution?
The next meeting would be to give direction to the administration on what the timeline would be, on when to take the bond and the levy to the voters, and then what the amount should be. And then we could come back at the meeting in November and have that language for the, that would go on the ballot, have that language approved by the board at that time.
Yeah.
So be giving direction to the administration, ideally at our next board meeting at the end of October.
Yeah.
And then we come back in November and you make the approval of that language in November.
Well, I shared with Dr. Finch earlier, but as best as we can, yeah, I want to see levy and bond passed, and obviously the bond has a harder road to pass just because you got to have 60% rather than 50. But when I consider the economic temperature, around our valley and stuff, and just from our voters, talking outside of just in the public, I think April would be a more ideal time to run for the hope of it passing and getting the 60%. I think that economic temperature, I think, would be at a better place, and my hope is that both of them pass. I think talked to Mr. McDaniel. He brought up a good point, is that we need, if the levy does not pass, then you need a plan B, or you need to be able to adjust, finances based on the deficit that come from the levy not passing. But I do think we have a pretty solid chance of seeing the levy pass. It's the bond that's going to be the hard thing. But my thoughts have been to maybe go for an April month for that ballot. But I'm curious what your thoughts on.
Yeah, I agree with you, Vince. I think that getting the levy to pass and the bond to pass are important. I'd like to see them run at the same time. I think if we do it in January, then we can calibrate if it doesn't pass. But it's things that we don't know in April. It's things that we can't predict. And then we don't know how to react to it.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather get it out first and then see how to react. And maybe they both pass. And if we get them both pushed at the same time, we have a better chance of getting everyone out just for the vote.
Mm-hmm.
February, not January.
February, not January.
Yeah, I think, I sort of think the same thing. What we heard from the consultants was that you had a better chance of passing both if you're aiming for that one place. And if I remember right, even the high school bond, it failed the first time, and we worked really hard and got it passed. I think 2 or 3 months later, actually.
Right.
We didn't wait a long time, so you could actually look at it again in April, May, June, if you needed to.
I think it's a more targeted approach if we don't make it.
So I know what you're saying, but I'm not sure. I'm just weighing what the consultant said about you have a better chance because you're pushing toward one goal.
Yeah. No, I concur with that. It's not really what the consultants said. It's what the consultants shared with us from a data analysis perspective. It's not their opinion. It's statistical analysis. And so, I think obviously as school board members, we represent the community. We feel the temperature. All of the things that Mr. Kephart mentioned are valid. But statistically, the information that we've received is that we have a higher likelihood of passing them both, running them together in the month of February. With regard to the high school, that was my recollection. Some of you in Apple Valley's bond passed in February, in the February election. And at least as far back as I can remember relative to the levy, we've always run those and had a very high degree of success in the month of February. So again, not to discount the feelings. Those things come up in, taxes come up every single day of my life as in my job. So I can certainly appreciate that. But on the levy side of things, it's very concerning. I also had conversations with Mr. McDaniel and Dr. Finch today about what happens if we don't pass if we wait on the levy and then it doesn't pass in April. Some of the budgetary and staffing consequences associated with that, and so hopefully we don't have to go through that. But again, our history as a district and the statistical information that has been provided to us in statewide elections for bonds and levies, I lean toward a February ballot for both.
Yeah, I also find myself in agreement with the three of you, not to take anything away from your argument, Mr. Kephart. you know, it's good to go through the exercise of what if this doesn't work, or what if this does work. I mean, we need to really seriously evaluate those things. I do feel we have done a good job of that. Our consultant, and Mr. Thorne pointed out quite accurately, I was actually going to say that.
Yeah.
I don't know that that would say it was his recommendation, but he was basing that information on the analysis of previous data from, I don't know how many years, but I think it's a longitudinal piece of information that is valuable to us in terms of making this decision. And then I go back to one of my age-old arguments that I have made for many years, for a long time, is that every delay that we make, costs go up. And I think I heard somebody talk about that earlier. Even though it's just a few months that we're talking about, you still have to look at the planning phases and stages of it. What impact does that delay have on, maybe people are gone during the summer when we have to, you know, get in and get approval for certain things from the city or whoever. So I don't think we want to delay on this. And the other factor that, you know, really crosses my mind is, you know, we're giving back a big chunk of money to the community, and I think that's a fantastic thing. So this is a good time to, you know, build upon that success that we've talked about before, and trying to go back and see what we've done with this, and we want to do it again for our community and our students. The more we wait, the longer we wait, things begin to fade and time passes and all sorts of things happen. So I think that we should go with our initial idea and plan, which was to introduce and try to get these things on the ballot for February. I mean, history has proven that that is really the most effective time to try and do it. So I stand with my other colleagues on the board in going for that date. But again, value your input there and your thought.
No, and I'm glad, I'm just glad we're having the conversation. And so I do see that more value in April, but I would 100% support you guys in that. And I think with the board majorities for that, I would support in going for February, you know, because I think Mr. McDaniel made some really good points about, you know, if you have to pivot and adjust, then
it gives us some time to do those kinds of things if we know early enough. So I want to ask, does anybody have any specific comments or questions or discussion on the levy? Because Dr. Finch shared some new information and Mr. McDaniel recently, so this is the time to discuss that. If there's any thoughts, I haven't had a whole lot of time to digest it because I got it yesterday, like most of you, but has anyone had any initial impressions?
So I'm totally good about talking about the levy. I do have two other things that I'd like to say about the bond. No, and these are not like, these are just some thoughts that I've had since the community forum, and not so much about the timing, but a couple of things that we've talked about, and just not necessarily for resolution, but I throw them out for the good of the order. So number one is I believe we received some correspondence from somebody that did not attend our community forum. And they said they made a number of really good points, and I don't think this is part of a bond resolution in the language itself, but one of the things that they indicated was having a bond oversight committee, which we had done with Apple Valley and Summit View, and I largely view that as a positive, good process that we did. I would encourage. Again, I don't think that's part of the bond resolution, but I would encourage the board to go through that similar sort of process. It wasn't just the committee, it was the people on that committee that made it really work. It was just some really smart, high-quality individuals that had a diverse range of experience with finance and building and construction. And so it wasn't just the fact that we had a committee, but it was the individuals that made that committee up that made that very, very positive, and I think that's important. So I did want to say that for everyone's edification. Second thing about the bond resolution itself, and I believe
we had an earlier discussion, and Dr. Finch conferred with our legal counsel about putting some language in at the end of the resolution that says that if there are remaining proceeds, that those would be defeased back to the taxpayers. And if that language is in there, I'm going to vote for it. I'm not going to say, no, we're not voting for that. I think that's fine. The only thing that I would throw out for just consideration about is whether or not that is going to generate the desired effect that we hope to achieve. And here's what I mean by that. There were a number of reasons why we have remaining bond proceeds in the Apple Valley and Summit View project. If we have that language, would it encourage us not to be financially prudent and spend every single dollar of it, whether we would knowingly do that or not? And so again, I'm not saying that we shouldn't put that in there. I just offer that for everyone's consideration about whether or not that's prudent to put in. Not that we wouldn't strive for that, but I just throw that out for consideration. Again, if that is not enough to stop me from, oh no, I'm not going to vote on it. If that's in, I'm not saying that at all. I'm just raising that for consideration.
Wasn't there a legality about not being able to put that wording in?
It was a question that I had, and Dr. Finch conferred with our counsel, and we actually can put that in. And since then, and you know, I do a lot of driving in my car and about a lot of things, and so it's just something that occurred to me that I wanted to share with the rest of the board for your consideration. Thank you.
I appreciate the thoughts on the bond oversight committee. Sorry.
Mr. Thorne, I've given that a lot of thought as well. You know, my previous positions on some of those things. I think I agree with what you're essentially saying is that my biggest concern is by having language that says we will do that, we lock ourselves into, we could get into minutia. Suppose all that's left is a couple $100,000 in a big bond like that. Are we going to spend the money to try and figure out how to defease it, or could we better save time and be more efficient by just using that small amount? That's one question that comes to mind, because this last go around was pretty unusual to have that kind of money left over. I mean, I don't think we've really heard of that happening before. And so it made sense to defease a big chunk of that money. I would just be concerned about locking ourselves into something. And suppose there was, you know, near the end of this, an emergency that came up that we couldn't foresee. You know, we could still go back to the taxpayers and talk to them about it before doing anything. That's always an option. And it's always, the option is always still there to defease the funds if we so choose to do it. But locking ourselves into it, I don't know if that's our best choice. So I hear your language, and those are good points to make, and I'm just adding to them. I'm like you, I'm not saying I wouldn't vote for it if it were there. I'm just simply pointing out the wisdom of trying to not lock ourselves into one posture or another, because where we are today might not be where we are in 2.5 years. It could be totally different, and so the circumstances could dictate what we should really do, but we wouldn't be able to with language that says this is what we must do. So I just bring that up as, you know, I'm sure all of you have thought of that and considered it, but it's something that, you know, in what we're doing here with the school district, we want to be very careful, I think.
And I don't want to get into too much minutia with this, and I'm going to. But another option, sort of in between the two, is have a percentage of.
That's an option too. I agree.
From here on, yeah, we can use that, but if it's tons of money, no, we got to give it back. So I think we can word it with our council to make it balanced.
I think we should have some. And this is just my thought, and I'm just spewing it out on spur of the moment. I haven't had time to add additional thoughts to it, but I think it should be largely dependent on how much money is left over that we're talking about, instead of a flat, we're going to do this regardless. I just think that makes more sense overall.
Yeah, I think I agree.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily want to put language in there that locks us in. You know, I think anytime you do any type of a project, you're gonna have unforeseen costs that come even after you finish the project. Whereas like, oh, we gotta go back and do that, or that got missed. You know, so I wouldn't want to have language that would lock us in. But I think communicating that the intention that if there are remaining funds and these projects are completed, that we intend to defease that. I think communicating that to the public and the people that support West Valley is really important. But I wouldn't want to necessarily have a language that would lock us in, I guess.
Yeah, I totally agree with it, and I think that's the avenue I'm advocating for, is we communicate with the community, find out what's on their mind, what they feel, present to them all the options, let them know financially where we are, what's ahead of us in terms of projects and things that either need to be done, must be done, or are nice to do, you know, those kinds of things, and let them weigh in on the final decision. I think that's critically important. So I'll stop talking here because I could go on.
Well, I had questions for you, for you guys. When the bond oversight committee, what was the process that went into selecting that?
Boy, I bet Mr. Marinacci could probably answer that better than me. But as I recall, we had an application process. If it's okay, we don't normally ask the public to. I don't want to misspeak, but if it's okay with the board, I know Mr. Marinacci could probably weigh in if it's okay.
It's
with
okay.
The board.
This is an exception,
Okay.
just given what we're talking about.
Well, we have a member of the bond oversight committee here. I think some other ones. I was gonna say I think some other ones too. Yeah, now there's.
Where's the mic?
It's just you here.
It'll pick you
You're
up.
fine. It'll pick you up.
Well, apparently, I owe Mr. Thoner a check in the mail for the compliments earlier. I do think that it was a combination of having a committee and the people who are on it. I think there was a core of us at the end there, 4 of us, that were very engaged. And not saying I'll do it the next time, but I would recommend having a bond oversight committee. And Mr. Strong, you might remember 1 July when I did a follow-up report, you asked me the question why it's so difficult to get people involved. You really have to have the board empower this group of people to feel like they have a say. And that's why it worked. If it's just a group of folks that are more like a showpiece, it doesn't work. And I truly think that some of the benefits of the group and the feedback that we provided to the project manager and the folks at the time really did lead to some good stuff, like the trail around, the walkway. Like, stuff just came up, and there were some unfortunate things that came up, but we dealt with it. So I do think having a bond oversight, to that point, it was opened up. I think the mistake that was made the first time through, it was opened up after the project manager and the architect was chosen, and I think it should be set up before that so they have a say on that as part of the process. Those are 2 fundamental things that are taking place, and the school district is entering into a contract. It could be the same firm, but they should be involved in that process as opposed to afterwards. So I'd suggest that as well. And as long as I'm up here, just hearing the discussion, I think you definitely need to put in the language in there that some amount will be returned to taxpayers. Because all this discussion, it's just like a movie. If you don't, and maybe you put a governor, 500,000, I'm not as keen on the percentage, I think a static amount, because all you're going to do is relive the horror show of people questioning why is there excess. If there's unforeseen costs, there always is on construction projects. That's prior to. So in other words, all the cost agreement, the typical contract that you have with the contractor is going to include a budget for contingencies, so that's already embedded. But if it goes over that, that would happen if there's excess money that's after the fact. So I like the idea of maybe putting a dollar amount, but none of you guys want to go through the same experience. So that's my answer.
No. How was the bond oversight committee selected?
It was people who volunteered. They sent out
We were nominated
By whom, though?
by the superintendent.
Okay. That was the part that I didn't recall or remember.
Right?
Thanks, Dan.
Okay.
What, so you said 4. What was?
Was originally started with 9.
Okay. And so it started with 9 and then the other 5 just kind of
Got
keep the
busy,
commitment?
got tired
Gotcha.
of the hassles.
So let me, can I?
Go ahead.
Yeah, come on up.
Come on down.
So
So
the
there was 9 people that were just community members, parents that were involved, so the superintendent said, okay, come be on this committee, right? And I think he was using it as a showpiece, like what you said. Then it became clear that 4 people of us that had some industry expertise, and we invested and volunteered a lot of time and became like a subject matter expert in a lot of ways, because the school district had never built a big project like this before, at least like the people that were in charge at that point. So the people that weren't really experts in the industry or had some sort of knowledge kind of fell off because it got really technical.
Mhm.
It got, what do you say, Peter?
Yeah, and that's what felt like.
And a big time commitment too.
It's a big time. It's like a part-time job. Or
What would?
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. What's? Maybe you can't say this. What was the background of some of the people with the expertise?
So Peter works in finance and banking. We had another person that's involved in construction project management from like a high level oversight. And I work in planning and strategy for large hospital capital projects. So I built hospitals. So building a school is somewhat similar, right? So I looked at the floor plans for this school that we're standing in, and I looked at the analysis of the growth projections and how and the capacity of the school, and I said, we don't have enough classrooms. Do you remember this?
Mm-hmm.
And we added on 4 classrooms to each school. So, but I had the background of, because I work in strategic planning.
I'd
I
say
added the walking path.
I'd say Corey was really good on the project management, and also I had some previous construction claims background from early in my career, and Corey was really good at that, and Steve, who works at Central Washington University, was involved in a whole host of building experience up there. So I'd say those were
those are the 4.
And then you had a member of the board that, is a lawyer and doesn't know much about anything other than I can be conversant about a lot of things. So, but it was really the 4 of them with a member of the board participating, assistant superintendent at the time, also involved, and it was and the committee in particular really did it was very engaged and did a lot of work, and I'll say this, it ended up being a very good process.
And just to add to that, we had a monthly meeting that was public, open to the public. We took meeting minutes.
We have bylaws.
We started with bylaws.
Right.
So anyway.
Yeah.
Well, thank you both for your time and.
Well, it's fun being in this school now.
I can't speak for it at this point, but I think having both of your input and value, and possibly being on the bond oversight committee, if you can do, I think your experience would help that process a lot. So you can't decide that now.
No, but
I would definitely invite that.
And when I brought that up, it was with the goal in mind that what we had before and what was built by this committee, not necessarily volunteering them to do it again, because it was a lot of work. And we have a lot of other talented people in this school district. It's not just them, but a lot of what they started, the things that they developed, I think we can replicate, hopefully, in another bond passage. And I wanted to say should the bond pass, I'm not necessarily, just because I won't be on the board anymore doesn't mean that I'm going to go away, and I will advocate for this again when it does pass, and as to the importance. But I wanted to say now, while I'm still on the school board, that and to Mr. Marinacci's point, I think is exactly right. This thing passes, we should be convening the bond oversight committee immediately. So, anyway, But thanks for the added context and flavor from our audience members, which we don't normally do, but I think it was good.
Okay, public comment is closed again.
Sorry, I didn't, so that, I just, so I appreciate the entertainment on my comments for the bond anyway. Go ahead.
Can Mr. Strong, could I ask a question on that same topic?
Sure.
If we approve for the resolution for Friday, or not, excuse me, for February to have it go on the ballot, at what point would we begin to assemble the bond oversight committee? Would it be prior to February, or would it be after it passes, or hopefully passes?
I don't have a good answer for that, but I would think it's going to take us a little time to assemble a group in the first place, so we might want to get as early a start as possible. I would think, you know, after it hits the ballots, I think we should start, and that's my thinking. But Ms. Storner, you were around when I was at the same time. Any
When
other
we
thoughts?
convene the bond oversight committee?
Yeah, when we start putting it together.
Not so much when we did, but when, you know, I think the suggestion now is to, prior to selecting the architect,
right,
and the builder, like, put that, at what point would we?
That's kind of a
put
tough
that
question,
together?
too.
Well, if my memory serves correctly, when we passed the bond, after we passed the bond, there was a temperature, there was an appetite to convene the bond oversight committee immediately at that time. And it took a little bit of time, and there were some selections already made. So, and I think if to maybe do it over again, to Mr. Marinacci's point, congratulations, we passed the bond. We're going to get started on this process, but first order of business for the board is to install and empower a bond oversight committee. I think that's one of the first things that maybe to do in hindsight from the Apple Valley and Summit View project, that we would have started that process maybe just a skosh earlier. Because as I remember, it was really not until the late summer and fall where like the charter and so forth really came together. And I think if we could have finished that by the end of school, we would have been just that much better off. I mean, we still ended up in a good place, but I think we would have been better off. And the good news is again, maximizing on some of the things that we had in the Apple Valley and Summit View campaign. We're not having to reinvent that wheel totally, and we can use some of the. I would hope that we could use some of those materials, at least the charter and the bylaws and so forth, to springboard us.
One more thing to make a dot on the I, which Renee would agree, sorry. But the importance of having the bond oversight committee set ahead of time is it develops a relationship with whoever the project manager is, so they know that, oh, this school district wants involved, because that's not true in most of the other school districts we found about. And I think that did really get us off on the right path. You affirm that statement? Thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
Okay. Just wanted to
No,
do that.
I think that's right.
Is there really any downside to begin once the board votes on putting it on the ballot? It seems like at that point you begin asking folks and saying, here's what you don't want them to start heavily getting into the charter and all that until it passes, but at least start assembling so they can hit the ground running.
Well,
is there a downside to appointing?
Or at least asking.
Yeah,
people
right.
to-
I think you asked.
Beginning to form
You
that
start to solicit.
right after we pass it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I think there's some merit in not putting the cart before the horse here a little
Well, but
bit,
you're not
but
gonna-
we do need to solicit and start looking at expertise and individuals who
that's
might be
my
willing
point.
to serve.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think the thing that maybe is, thank you for the discussion. I think the thing that I hear that is so encouraging is that we seem to be in consensus that having a bond oversight committee is very important to the school board, and that we want to do that because we want to do all of the right things that we can that are within our control, should we be fortunate enough to get this bond passed. And I'm really pleased about that. Again, we learned a lot, I think, in the last project, I think, and where that bond oversight committee really played a big role in our success in building this school in Apple Valley. And so we need to We need to evaluate what went right in the last bond campaign, or in the last bond project, and maximize on our strengths from that.
All right. We kind of beat that one to death. Why don't we go to the, any thoughts on the levy, since we got that information? That's kind of a pressing issue also. Do we want to discuss it now? Do you want more time to ruminate on this? Or how much time do we have before we need to decide on this, Dr. Finch?
Well, it'd be good to have some discussion now. We still have time for discussion next meeting, but it'd be nice at the end of next meeting to really have some direction so that we can then come back at the meeting in November and have the ballot language ready to approve.
Okay. Anyone want to start on that? I left my little packet gave me in my car. Next one.
I appreciate Mr. McDaniel's, I think, setting the assessed growth rate at 6%. I think it's a pretty accurate assessment. My question would be, so there's option 1, option 2, and option 3. Are these based on actual proposals here, or are these based on the property rates increasing? So if you go to option 2, it's levy rates $1.35. Option 3, levy rates $1.25. Are these proposed rates, or are these if the values continue to increase? Does that make sense, that question?
I had shared with each board member separately, so this is the first time that you have an opportunity to discuss this, but just looking at if you wanted to keep the rate the same, and if you're looking at an assessed value increase of 6% per year, then that would generate funds for the district. The point on sharing the $1.50, that would generate funds for the district, and it would allow us to capture the local effort assistance, the LEA funds from the state. So just for the audience, the state provides, they call it levy equalization. It's assistance for basically the property, the districts in the Puget Sound area are considered more property rich, and then areas outside of Puget Sound are more property poor. And so there's you're able to raise more funds in that Puget Sound area with the tax rate. And so really it's an opportunity to have this levy equalization so that if you're able to pass a levy at the local level, then the state provides additional assistance through the local effort assistance funds. But to get the maximum of that, you need to be at the $1.50 per thousand. We had shared with the board separately what would the rate look like if it's the rate of $1.50. What would that generate? If it was less than $1.50, it was $1.35 or $1.25. What would that generate? And so those are just some things to consider as we're looking at the upcoming levy. And it really needs to be a board decision because the board represents the community, and you do have a sense of what the community is going to support. You know what our needs are as a district, and as we look at a 4-year levy, we're really projecting that those funds will be collected in 2027, and then 2027, 2028, 2029, 2030. So we're really projecting out to the end of 2030. There's going to be some uncertainty on the financial situation from the state and national level, and so the more that we can be certain of the funds that we're collecting here locally and the local effort assistance, then it gives us stability as a district. And I do like, it was fun having conversations with you separately. One of you had said, this is actually an opportunity where when we have a tax, it's a local tax, and it's staying, that money is staying here locally, and it's not going off to Olympia, it's not going off to Washington, D.C. It's right here with the West Valley School District. We're supporting our kids with that tax funds, and it generates additional state match, basically, a local effort assistance. So the funds stay here, and we generate some additional funds from the state to come our way, and we can spend it on our kids in the way that this board here decides. So there really is a strong reason to try to maximize the amount of the local effort assistance that we get from the state.
But we're choosing between these three options basically at this point. I mean,
well,
we can
those-
adjust, but that's.
Yeah, those were just for the board to consider. Really, it's, the board will make the decision on what is the amount that we'll put on the ballot.
Yeah.
And I was giving you that information there, that if it's $1.50, here's what it would be on the ballot, and here's what it would generate from the local effort assistance. If it's less than $1.50, well, here's what it would generate, and here's the, it's not the maximum of the local effort assistance, but it's not totally eliminated.
Yeah.
It's just a reduction of the local effort assistance. So those were just some scenarios to take a look at.
So just to maybe make sure that.
Sure.
I think I know what James asked, and I want to make sure that I'm thinking about the right thing. So we know what the total assessed valuation for all property in the West Valley School District is for 2026. And what we did in projecting forward is a 6% growth to that 2026 total assessed valuation moving forward. Okay, so it started with we just came out with the total 2026.
Right.
I think that's what you were asking.
And that's the starting
Right.
point.
I guess my question is, because we are going to approve, not approve to go forward. I mean, I'm assuming we're going to approve to go forward with the levy, obviously, but my vote would be to get the $1.50 matches, and so I would say the higher amount. But are we choosing at this point between these amounts?
Yeah, so this is the clunky part of this is sort of it, not clunky, it's just the way it is. So for the levy resolution to put that on the ballot, the ask is a total dollar amount for the district tax,
Right.
so that whatever 9 or 10 million or whatever it says on there.
And it's a guesstimate, so if
It's our best
9.9 million.
It's our best guess to land the plane at $1.50, but we don't write that the tax rate is $1.50 per thousand. It's an estimated tax rate, to be precise.
So
we're trying to minimize what I think what you're trying to say is it's you're and not I don't want to put words in your mouth. You're leaning toward you want to estimate that the dollar amount that we come up with is as close to $1.50 as possible to minimize
to maximize the LEA.
Yeah, exactly. To minimize what our loss or to maximize the LEA. Exactly.
So it could be that you get the maximum, the $1.50 at the tax rate, not the revenue. And so next year you could drop to $1.45 based on the revenue and quote lose some of the LEA funds anyway. You're starting.
If the assessed value goes up more than that 6%.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's why we built in that escalation of the 6% on the assessed value.
Each year, which you didn't have before, because before it was consistent.
Exactly. Before it was a set number and without the prediction of the assessed value going up. And the actuality is that assessed value has gone up 11% over each year for the past 5 years, but over the 6% is being more conservative.
And I agree, everything we talked about, you'd like to go to the $1.50 if you can, but the question was, what is the feel of the community? And that's a really tough one right now, because, I mean, the city's asking for $6 million a year, and our assessed rates have gone up quite a bit both years, and everybody I talk to is going, oh man, I can't believe how my assessment just went sky high, and now my taxes are going up. So I'm hearing that, but I'm not hearing anybody say it in context of a levy. They're just saying, good grief, everything's more expensive tax-wise because the assessment. I mean, the last 2 years, the assessments jumped quite a bit. And it's different for different people in different areas too, based on what the sale prices were in the general area. So it's really hard to pin it down.
I think it'd be hard to lose out on the state funds as well. I mean, that.
And we don't lose them all. It's only it's an adjustment.
I know,
right?
but I think we need to take advantage of it and maximize it as best we can, because that represents the best avenue for our community in terms of taxpayer dollars, what we get in return. And I look at this one line, it stands out more than anything, the line that says lost revenue. You look at the options 2 and 3, you can see how much we would lose, and then you go to option one, it's all zeros across there. I mean, it makes that a very compelling argument when you see that. And I agree with you, Mr. Wolcott, it's what can the community stomach? What are they willing to take, you know? And that's a question we need to ask them. You know, we can talk about it all we want, but we really need to find out from them how they feel about this in whatever vehicle we can. That's, you know, that gives us the best opportunity to hear their voice, try to respond to it, and make a good decision. You know, we have to make a balanced decision, you know, weigh it against what the community is telling us, against the programs. I heard a gentleman talking about today doing something about the auditorium in the middle school. We've been talking about that a long time. But we need the funds to do it, and we've got to figure out where to get those kinds of things. Are we including that in the bond, or are we including it under deferred maintenance? There's a lot of places we need to look, but all this is interrelated in the sense that money we don't spend in one other place, we may be able to use something somewhere else that serves some of these other purposes. So again, I'm just going to the point of, and I'm agreeing with you essentially, and I think Mr. Thorner as well, is trying to maximize the opportunity here by going with that $1.50.
And the other thing to remember is, even with the $1.50 and the proposed bond rate, we would still be very competitive in comparison to neighboring districts. In fact, we'd be one of the lowest. And that would continue in the future with even with the assessed value going up, then the bond rate actually goes down even more. And so I think we would still be very competitive in looking at neighboring districts. Yakima did just pass a levy at $2.50 per thousand. And so what we're looking at is the $1.50 per thousand.
You know, it's kind of unfortunate when you look at how much we have lost by not being there already. It kind of, you know, sticks in my craw a bit, because it would have been so easy at that point to really, you know, well, maybe it wasn't that easy.
I mean, you
That's why we
can't determine
can't say
what-
that, I know, but it
what
feels
values
like
it.
it could have been easier than what turned out here. But that being said, we're in a position now to try to fix what we can, but we need to do it with the blessing of the community. That's my only point.
So timing then, ideally next board meeting, we would approve the resolution to go forward with when to go on the ballot, and we'd also approve levy amount, and what else would be?
And the bond.
And the bond. So
Right. And
those
basically, you
things-
would direct the administration to bring those language back at the following meeting.
Yeah. I would say, you know, my thoughts is I would go for the higher option one here. I think because of where we're at, like, I mean, we're the second to lowest in our area when it comes to those rates. And I think West Valley's been fiscally responsible, and I think the only thing we do have to do is we need to, and I know we say this, right, but I think we need to keep coming back, is how do we communicate this to the community? And I don't think you can over-communicate. But I think there's a lot of wins to communicate here, because like you said, like, that's a really great point, is that this is local money that's staying here local. You know, that's something that we need to communicate, you know, and how we get to maximize the LEA and still remain $1 below Yakima school districts. Like, we need to communicate that. But I'm in support for the higher amount of levy. That's my personal one, and I'm in support of going February on the ballot if everybody else is. So.
Sounds like kind of clear direction.
Yeah.
I don't see anybody shaking to the negative there.
I agree with what James said, and I think the communication piece is important, and the fiscal responsibility is important, but it really starts with, we have a fantastic educational program in this school district, and that's, thankfully, we have the resources and we've utilized them well, but it's really the educational program that's the star, and that's the message that we need to maximize as well, probably more so than the fiscal responsibility.
All right.
Well, good discussion.
All right, good discussion, everyone. You know, I'm just wondering, is it inappropriate to share this with the community?
Oh, yeah, we can share that, yeah.
Okay. so they can see what we're talking about. So for those of you out there, there's a chart that was prepared for us showing the various options. So at some point, that'll be available for you to see and peruse for yourself and give us some feedback when the time comes. All right, so moving on, we'll go to item 10 here, public comment regarding discussion items. So again, I'm not going to reread what I wrote before. Most of you know it by now, but if anyone has any comments that they would like to make or would like to step up and speak, here's an opportunity to do so on the items that we just discussed. Mr. Marinacci.
All right, I just want to say I had a chat with Ryan when the document on September 23rd meeting came out, and I also talked to Dr. Finch just before this meeting. Just want to say, Ryan, really, good job laying out the presentation. It was easy on the eyes. I'll look forward to that follow-up document. The one thing I wanted to touch on, just as a suggestion, is what Mr. Thorner and James are talking about, Mr. Kepper. It's that communication piece. So as a taxpayer, yes, it's good. We could get full advantage to get to the $1.50, and so we could get the LEA, which $3 million. So essentially, we're taking the last 4 years at 6.9 million, and then it's going to go to 9.5 million, 10 million, 10.5 million, 11 million. Like Mr. Thorner said, it's a dollar amount. It's not a rate. That's what goes on the ballot. And as a taxpayer, so if we hit the assessed value, then there's an additional, was it $3 million plus in LEA? Well, from a taxpayer standpoint, we know it's all mixed in the general budget. We know it goes to enhanced programs. We know it goes to staff. It's all good stuff. From a taxpayer standpoint, I think we just need to do a little better job of articulating what the differential. We do have inflation in there, which there's a little bit of a discussion. I think it could be enhanced on real inflation rates. I think that could help out. We already talked already about setting aside money for deferred maintenance, which is excellent. So what are we talking about? Out of that amount, is that a ballpark $1 million? I did listen to the tape because I was out of town the last meeting, and I do agree that there needs to be flexibility. However, I think we could put some parameters around it. Maybe this goes towards just high level, about 10 staff members, give or take, a nurse, paras, whatever. We're hoping to maintain those great services that we have. Somebody's making, focusing on our academic, and we want to stay there. That's great. However, right now, it just, from a taxpayer standpoint, and I think the communication is really key, give the folks a reason why this is a good deal for them. Who doesn't want to get free money? But it isn't, we're getting free money because we're going to spend it willy-nilly. We need to tell the folks how we're spending the money. If that makes sense. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Marinacci, for your comments. Anyone else in the audience? All right, I'll close the second public comment section, item 10, and move on to item 11 on the agenda, items arising. Anything?
The whole last hour. Sorry.
Item 12, superintendent's report, that's in the package there. If there's any additional comments you would like to make about it, Dr. Finch?
No, just included in the packet.
All right. Item 13, board reports, board development. Anything? All right, next we have item 14, executive session, performance of a public employee. I think in looking at what we have, maybe about 15 minutes is enough time.
Sure.
There won't be any action taken. It's 8:18. We'll be back here at, it's 15 minutes, 8:30. It's actually turned to 8:19 now, so we'll say 8:34.
Okay. With no action to be taken.
That's it, right? No action to be taken?
Board members, can you take your chairs in there, because I took them out of the little.
Oh, the conference room?
Yes. Take your seats.
We need to roll our chairs into the conference room.
We're going to extend our time. It's currently 8:34. We're going to extend it to 8:45. The board meeting is adjourned after an executive session at 8:43 p.m. with no action taken.